Hi, the little job that should only take a minute this week is repairing my wife's lamp. It's something we had in the living room, but we've had to replace because one of the dimmer switch on the bottom has broken, and at the moment it only switches on when the power is on. There's a separate on-off switch for a small light there as well. The unit has two switches. That one is the on-off for the small flexible light. That one is a dimmer switch for the main light, and it's that that's broken, and it's broken so that it's permanently on. So at the moment the alternative is to turn it off at the wall switch. I've got two options here, but before I start I will point out, if anybody's at all unsure of electronics working with mains voltages, just don't touch it. Just get a qualified electrician in to do it. I have been working with electrics for about 30 years now, and I've had the odd tingle here and there, so I feel competent to do it, but there is a reason that building sites only have 110 volts on them, and that is that anything above that is likely to kill you, so be very careful with it. So the first option is to replace the dimmer switch itself. I've tried to get spares online, not being able to find anything suitable. What I've done is I've gone out and bought the unit that goes behind a normal wall socket light switch, in the hope that I can get that somehow to fit into that space. I don't know until I take them apart. It was a bit of a punt, but for £2 or £3 it was worth trying. If that fails, because the main light won't turn off, I've also bought a very cheap and cheerful foot switch, which is fairly simple. I think I've just got a load of pieces there that it's basically a large black push button with a spring under it with a normal switch inside it, and I shall wire that into the feed at the bottom so that my wife can just switch it on and off with the foot switch rather than anything else. But we'll start off with the dimmer and see if we can get anywhere with that. First thing to do is take the casing off the switch. Just a series of tabs that unclip. And see what we've got. And that's not... oh, it's just coming out, there we are. And then we've got a screw-on ring. That reveals the basic unit. Now I don't know how that compares with the one that's in there, but at least it looks a size that might conceivably fit in there. I'm hoping they're a fairly standard component board, but we'll have a look and see what's in the other unit. I'm making sure it's 110% unplugged. On the back of the unit there's a small fuse. I'll take it out. There's not a lot wrong with that on the basis that both lights actually light up. It's the control mechanism that's gone. And then there are 3 small machine screws that come out to release the back plate. At that point we can see what we've got. Whether we'll be able to do anything with it or not. I suspect not, but as I say, for £3 or £4 it was worth taking the chance. I'll probably find a use for the dimmer anyway. That cover off. I'll release the knobs. They just pull off. Looks like that was just at least the front cover. There we are. So it's a two-piece unit. The initial signs are quite hopeful in that there are 3 outlets there and there are 3 outlets on the top of that. I might be able to do something with it. Drop this out next, the actual switch itself. Looks like it's a combined unit. Let's just put the tape on. I think what's happening there is there's a live coming in there. It goes through the 2 switches and then one will come out as a feed to the top light and one will go as a feed to the flexible light. So I think that's what's going on with those. And it's now just a matter of having a look at the actual unit that's damaged. Seeing if we can get any joy with repairing it. Cover on it which I can't. Oh, I see, yes, the light switches themselves got rings on that screw up. Right, it's obviously a similar arrangement but it's a totally different piece, so I don't think I'm going to have a lot of joy with that. Yes, you can see there's a power in, a 100 watt output and a 300 watt output, so the lower one will be to the top light and that will be the one that's being affected. It does look like componentry is similar, but in fact there's the same heatsink on the side of that, so it may be just possible to do something with it. I don't suspect for a minute that the actual potentiometer itself has gone. That one's a push to on off, that one's just a click on off on the pot itself. So I might just go down the route of changing components. Right, now I've just replaced that power transistor and cleaned it up and put it back into the existing arrangement. I'll rewire that in temporarily and just give it a go and see what happens then. Right, so what I've done now, I've very temporarily taped up the switch, put the fuse in it. There's nowhere it's likely to touch any metal anywhere, but I am staying very well clear of it. But we'll just turn it on, switch it on, make sure that the bottom light still works, which it does. And I'll try the top one, and sure enough we've got that. So it was the main power transistor that had gone, not the I thought it might have been one of the capacitors or something, but it was actually that little power transistor. What I've got to do now, because I've still got the power transistor in there that came out of this one, I've got to put the heatsink back on, so we'll do that next and then we can wrap it up. I'm pleased with that. Right, so I'll just drill out the old, there's a rivet on that. Take the head off it. Take the old one off. This is the new unit. Just got a small nut and bolt somewhere for that. Should really have, there's a compound you can get that heatsink compound that will help spread that heat into the heatsink itself. It's like a rubber silicone, but not got any to hand at the moment. But given that the other one was a tight riveted joint on, I think I'll just see how that goes. It's actually worked far better than I thought it would, so if it blows up again I'll probably have to replace it, but let's see how it goes. Get that really tight squeeze. That's it, and that's ready to go back together, so I'll just reassemble it. Well, the time code on the first video I took was 2:41, it's now 4:31, so at least we've achieved something in our 1 minute job. But everything now works as it used to, so that's great. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye.